Did you count us down?
I tried my best.
You fucked up the count.
Was that the count?
I had no clue what was going on. I apologise.
I can't work like this, mate. Honestly.
That takes the cake. That's the worst counting we've ever had.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Grange TV. We have with us the Ballina Bruiser, the brawler from the back streets of Ballina, Mr. Eli Hedges. Possibly, I think it's the worst count ever.
No, hands down, the worst count. The worst count. Maybe in history.
Possibly. And I think everyone knows him, the man that needs no introduction, the most avid gardener in Camden, the biracial angel, Mr. Robert the Reaper Whittaker.
It's coming up already, biracial angel.
The biracial angel. Guys, we're going to do a Q&A, and then afterwards we're going to discuss this weekend's main event and co-main event.
Killer fights this weekend.
Yes, absolutely. We'll do the Q&As first. I've got some people that messaged me some messages. And so I can't say the guy's name. Message me. I'll try to find his name. I'll try to find Mashari Al-Gamdi asked me. Lovely guy. Sometimes...
So, what's that measure? You know what I mean? Hold on. If you do this particular thing.
What's going on there?
Was that yours?
Maybe, I don't know. That was David Roberts, or God himself, talking to us. Anyways, so the gentleman asked, how often should you spar? How often, how much should you spar? How often should you spar specifically for boxing?
Specifically for boxing? So,
Yeah.
It depends. So, you'll be better able to answer this after I give my opinion on it, because you actually structure a lot of our training. But
How do you know?
it is yours.
It's my phone. Sorry, people. I was trying to find the questions.
No one will remember my hookups.
Yeah, like we have blocks of sparring, so obviously we don't spar too hard leading, like as the closer you get to a fight. But and when we're building skills, when there's no fights locked in, we don't spar a lot either, because there's no need to just bash each other and batter each other. But we have blocks of sparring, of intense sparring, where the training is organised in a fashion that you're coming to sparring as best as you can. Because I think, and this is a lot of gyms do this. They take we try to simulate the fight as best you can. That's the whole purpose of sparring, right? Is to try and get as close to real fighting as you can. So and that's what we try to do. We have walkouts. We have times, like our times are usually the same as fight times. We don't train around it. That day is dedicated just to sparring. Everything is set like sparring, and we believe you don't need too much. We don't need too much of it, because head trauma is real. You do. I do feel I do need it. Me personally, there are some guys out there that don't feel like they need it at all. But I feel like I do need it to sharpen up a little bit, try some new techniques, test new moves and things like that. But in terms of just the boxing sparring,
Fuck up so much today.
We're on fire today. But in terms of just the specific boxing sparring, it's important to get looks from just boxers. Just like it's important to get looks from just wrestlers. Just like it's important to get looks from just kickboxers, because you don't try to muddy up the sports by bringing them into MMA spar. You're just boxing. You're having to learn that skill set, learn what makes them tick, learn their little idiosyncrasies, learn the little subtleties of the game. And in that, so that when we go up against a boxer, you understand instinctively, like, how this guy acts, how this guy moves, why he moves the way he does.
I think a big thing is, like, what's your objective? If you're preparing for a fight and then it's a structured training camp, whether it's boxing or kickboxing or whatever, how when you say sparring, is it really hard sparring or not or whatever? I think a lot of that's got to do with the structure. If you have nothing coming up and you're just going to spar on a Thursday morning because you've got nothing else to do, then I would say that that's not really that beneficial. If you have a fight coming up, and say, for example, in between the Romero and Jacare fights, so Jacare and Romero fights, we didn't spar at all.
Yeah, I don't think so.
No, because there was only 6 weeks in between the fights, and most of that was centered around recovery and the rest of it. So, and making sure that he kept his fitness. But if, say, for example, now Rob hasn't fought in a while, so there has been some really hard sparring. You know, there's been a little bit more sparring than usual, I would say. Would you say?
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's been a little bit more harder sparring than usual because he hasn't fought in a while.
Yeah.
So it all depends on how active you are and what you like. Anything that you do with training, you have to sit down and look at it and go, what's the objective of what I want to get out of this? Is it fitness? Is it game fitness? Is it whatever? Are you doing something for technical development, whatever? Then you'll figure out if there's a point to do that. So is there a point to do, I don't know, a 10-kilometer run even? Yes, no, depending. There's no point to do that the night before the fight. There's no point to do hard sparring the night before the fight. So then you start to work kind of backwards from there. There'll be times where it's important for you to structure in your training to do some hard sparring, and then other times where you're just risking injury and brain trauma for no reason. What do you think, Eli?
No, I just agree. I don't know. Like you said, I don't think it's appropriate if you want to be a boxer to just spar every week. I think that was the old mentality that a lot of boxing gyms and that had. The more sparring you do, the better you become, but then you would lose technical aspects and that of it, because when you're sparring, sometimes if you're still learning, you can't try things out because you don't want to get hit. Do you know what I mean? So you lose a lot of the technique and stuff like that because you're so worried about maybe getting hit hard, or there's also when you're a novice, you don't know how to really control your sparring. I think like you get hit and then you bite down the mouth guard and want to hit them back harder, which isn't always the smartest way, especially if you want to then compete in being a boxer. So I think, yeah, you need to. We used to train back up in Ballina and that. We used to try to have a lot of like more simulation sparring and stuff like that. And then our hard sparring would only leave it maybe, do you mean, once a week or something like that. And then we'd have a lot of guys come in all the time and whinge about that we don't spar hard when, do you know what I mean, when it was just normal sessions and everything like that. But like you said, with the brain trauma and concussions and everything like that, you're a dickhead if you are. So.
Dude, I hear that, like even like you speak to like old school football players or old school boxers and they say, no, it's all bullshit and blah, 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 blah. And I think, man, like you see dudes now that are like my age, a bit older, like when we had Willie Tonga, he talking and that, and the trauma that he'd had, man, it's fucking real, man.
Man, some of the old boxers are even worse.
Oh,
they come from the old school and that. Do you know what I mean? They're just scattered.
Yeah, and heaven forbid you're one of the guys that loves doing it with everything in his being, but you're just not very good at it.
100%. Well, that was another thing I was going to say. Another thing that's important is if you've got a young guy coming up and he wants to fight, but he's never fought before and whatever, at some point you should give him a hard spar in the gym, you know what I mean? Where you're going to find out if they actually want to do it or not, you know? So that makes sense. But just sparring like twice a week, just to spar twice a week, I think like it's not really beneficial, you know?
Especially when it's structured around other training. Like you may be training in the session and finish with sparring, like and maybe you trained in the morning, or like I don't understand that either. Because
and you have to have both guys on the same thing. So say for example, if you're sparring to like say for example Thursday you're going to spar Jai, so Jai and you and Izzy have known for a week that you guys are going to spar, so you guys can organize your training. It's different than if you get to training today and you go, oh, I thought we were going to go for a run, and I'll go, no, you're going to do rounds with these guys, but you trained this morning already.
Yeah, that's
just stupid. And a lot of the times, like I hear the gym stories, and people are like, oh, but he's crazy, he did it anyways. And I think, of course he'd do it. Of course he'd fucking do it. But that's another thing. Like, dude will probably drink drive as well, you know, like.
Or Mark has rocked up to spa and he's had the last 2 weeks off. Yeah, you know? And he's coming ready. Like he's been in deep meditation for 2 weeks, and you've come after on the back of like jogging because you started the session jogging. You know?
Yeah. It has to be structured.
It's just a recipe to get injured.
Rob, have you ever turned up to a sparring session and you have it planned that you're doing 5 rounds, and in the first round you notice it's just not your day?
It's that's a hard one. That's a hard one. It's not really. It's there has been days, particularly when I came back after the surgery, where I was quite unfit, and like I was still building my way back into it. I remember there being a point where like I love sparring, so I get in there and we sparred. But I remember thinking, man, there's 4 more rounds left. It's it's not often though. Not often though. The thing is, I do enjoy doing it, and even on a bad day, I'm not too bad at it. It's just I'm just not hitting targets and goals that I want to hit.
Anything else on that? Because I'll go to some of the questions and we can read them off the thing. Stephen Ellis asks, do you feel that having the troubles you both have had gives you an insight into seeing through others and the masks they use? I see some fighters act a certain way and say certain things that is in direct contrast to how they actually are. Discuss, Rob.
I definitely look at some fighters and can pick out insecurities or if it's just a fake. Like obviously, this is just my observations and stuff, and in dealing with them in the public scene. But anyone can see certain insecurities when you're saying certain things about certain people, or the way you're acting, the way you like to act, and the masks you try to put on. The shows you try to play, the roles you try to play. Everyone can see that. Everyone can see it, or I feel I can see it. And I just think if I'm feeling this way, everybody else must be feeling this way at some point.
Or feeling their own version of that.
Yeah, their own version of it.
Unless they're totally fucking stupid.
Yeah, in which case then you're in a blissful wonderland where nothing really matters.
Yeah, like my dog is never going to have a depression or existential crisis or really fucking worry about political things. And like,
he's not worried about his identity.
Nah, he's a fucking dog and he's happy with it.
Doesn't even know he's a dog, but he's still happy.
Nah, he's just happy. He just wants you to throw the ball and you catch it and that's it.
But yeah, it's like I know everybody, like at the highest levels, and everybody that's aware gets it. They're going through their own troubles, and
and everyone's going through it.
Yeah, everybody is going through it or their version of it. And it's it just, I guess we're all on the same playing field. The playing field is the same.
I have a question here as well. Same guy. I'm just going to go through his questions because it's great that he put them together and asked them. Then we'll go through. If your team told you to put your gloves down, as in stop fighting, what would you do?
I'd have to. The whole team, like if like the whole team came down, sat me down, and said you got to put the gloves away, I'd probably do it.
Would you be ready for that?
Oh, it depends when it happened. If the whole team
tried,
because I was going to say,
he's only the world champion.
If the whole team rocked up today and said, Rob, it's time to walk away, I'd be like, oh, hold on a second. But yeah, definitely, and that's the thing I think our team does well, is that my team has not only an invested interest in me fighting and my career, but me as a person, which is, in my opinion, more important, because there is a lot, we've mentioned a bunch of times, there's a lot of life outside of fighting. And I want to be there for it. Like mentally and physically, I want to be there for it. If my team come to me and say, you got to put the gloves up, it means they see a reason for me to do that. My health might be decaying, my mental state might be decaying, or I might not be doing too well. And the pros and cons of continuing the career where you win, lose might not add up to other things I could be doing apart from fighting. They're never going to say, hang up the gloves, pick up the tools. Like I have a good team. We all care about each other. We're all trying to build each other up. So I definitely listen to my team. I wouldn't be with my team if I didn't have that trust in them in the first place.
Okay. What do you see as success? Have you achieved success at this point? Or does success change its goalposts? So yeah, how do you keep driven towards what you...
I'll let you kick this one off in particular.
I think they're asking you, not me.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay. Yeah, I definitely feel like I've achieved success in some goals.
How would you define success?
These are hard questions.
Mate, this guy put the work in. Stephen Ellis sat down, wrote these things out. He wasn't mucking around.
These are hard questions.
And so let's do the man he's due, answer the questions for him, and we'll move on to things. These are good questions.
Yeah, they are. I guess you know what resonates with me more than like what is success to me is more what we've been spoke about it before. Is what's driving you? What are you driving for? What do you hope to achieve? Like, what is it you want? And you know, honestly, I have what drives me, and keeping what I have is the driving force behind it. Like I have a beautiful family, I have beautiful kids, I have a beautiful wife. I'm healthy, I'm fit. I'm in a I'm a positive role model to my brothers and sisters, and I have a nice home. I'm not stressing about money, and that's what I want in this life. Like I want that. That's my driving force. Like when I didn't have that, I was driving for that, and now that I have it, I'm driving to keep it. That's what I want. That is success for me. You know, I am successful because I have that, and I'm driving. What drives me is the want to keep it. I want to keep all that. You know, that is my success, and also my legacy. Honestly,
Fear
does that
has
make
no
sense?
place. Yes, it does.
No, it does. I think that was a really good answer.
It's one of your best, mate. Fear has no place in the octagon, they say, but you have to be scared of something, whether physical or not. What scares you? Love to hear from everyone in the room.
Oh, excellent. I'm glad he pointed that one out, like the differences.
What scares you, Eli?
Oh, scares me.
Yeah.
Oh, I hate letting people down. That's
Oh, fuck, you must be walking around like a scared cat all the time.
No, I don't know.
Doesn't leave the house
positively peeing yourself.
I don't know. I don't really like letting people down. It's not like I don't know if that scares me, but I think like I do worry about that a lot. So that's a fear. So I guess it scares me. I don't like letting people down. I don't know. Whether it's my family, friends, community, all them things. Yeah, I probably worry about it a little bit too much. So I guess that's a fear, which is, scares me a bit.
Now, I have to say my biggest fear is along those lines. My biggest fear, I think, is not being there, like not being able to be there if something happens, or just not being there if something happens with my family, or not being there if my wife needs me, or children, or whatever. That's to me is the biggest fear that I have. Like all the rest of the stuff is like consequences, like, so say for example, like if you lose money or something, it doesn't scare me to lose money, or I can't say for you to lose a fight, but it'd be more along the lines of like, if say you're going to fight, and Jacob or any of the other boys are going to fight, and I know that I haven't done things to maximize their potential to win. That scares me, because people are relying on you to do things, and if you haven't done it, that all of that really scares me. And I think that's what makes me be kind of like so full on about stuff when I say, no, things got to be done like this, and they got to be done like that, and they got to be done like this at this time. It's because I put a lot of responsibility on myself, and I know Alex is the same, and the other coaches, all of them, I think, share that. And because I have a fear of letting people down, but more of not being there. Because if I'm there, I'm going to do my best. Yeah. I'm not one to like, if something happens, just leave my friends planted like David Roberts. But that's a different story that I'll tell maybe on this podcast, or maybe on another one. But that's not how I am, like David, that leaves his friends
Tell
posted.
it now where he can't defend himself.
Mate, when I say I'm scared of not being there, I'm talking about David Roberts. Because he was there and then he left. But anyways.
It's funny. We've known each other for a long time. We've been around each other a long time. And that fear of the responsibility and stuff, actually, like it explained a lot of your behaviors, like being really full on. And if we have to be here at 9 o'clock, you expect people to be there at 22. Or, you know what I mean? It's like things have to be done a certain way for a reason.
Well, the way I see it as well is like, if we had nothing else to do and we were all whatever, but like your family is not more important than my family is not more important than yours. So if we said be there at 9, then get there at 8:30 so we can start at 9. So at 10:30 we're done, and then everybody can be home by midday to do whatever they have to do with their respective families. You know what I mean? And honestly, that adds on to the responsibility that you have. Like, so for me, I see myself as being responsible for my family as well. You know, I see myself as being responsible in certain aspects. My wife is in other ways, but like, so it's not a game. I told her I'm going to be home at midday, so I'm going to be home at midday, you know, because she will have planned to do, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's important, you know, and I think that attitude carries over to everything you do.
Yeah. No,
Your
100%.
turn, Robbie.
I guess in terms of like if we were in a career sense, as in like fighting in the octagon and then fears revolving around that, is my biggest fear for my career is failing to perform. I have no qualms of losing a fight as long as I've gone in there and I've done everything I can to win. I have no qualms at all. I'll go out there and I freeze, and I just lose because of that, because something happened and I just couldn't come out. I couldn't throw, or I didn't feel like I could throw, or whatever. That scares me more than anything else, career-wise. And then I guess like the fear in terms of everyday life, living. A fear that I'm much better at dealing with is losing everything. And I think a lot of people have this fear of like, especially I think like growing up poor and not growing up without much, and then my family and stuff being separated and things like that. I just have a fear of losing things, of losing what I've worked for, of losing what I've got, and it's just I was much worse with it, like when we first met, but certainly when we first met and around that time, but and I'm much better at understanding it and talking myself through it now, because it's but yeah, just that fear of losing everything, you know. I think a lot of people can relate to that, like fear of losing everything.
Can you shout out for Stephen Ellis, a gentleman named Richard Bywater from Tasmania?
Shout out Richard Bywater from Tasmania.
Yes, sir.
Shout out.
Excellent. Rob, how have you changed as a person, being that you were a reserved person to begin with? How have you changed with your success?
That's a tricky one.
Your dad just messaged me
What did he say?
asking if we're streaming at 1 p.m. Sorry, Jack, that's because of Eli. He started late, but all good.
What's it? I'm just throwing it on Eli.
Cheers.
So you're a reserved person?
Yeah. I don't. What do you think from an outside perspective? Because you've known me before, I guess I was successful, to how I am now.
Do you know how people say?
Here we go.
No, I'm fucking telling you.
Here we go. When he looks into like the never-ending abyss, you know it's coming.
No, I'm just saying, like, you know how some people say, like, he's never changed. He was the same as he was before. I agree, but he wasn't much to begin with. But no, but I have to say, like, no, there hasn't been a huge amount of like, you've changed, but I have to say that all the changes have been positive, and I think a lot of that's because a lot of the times it's not you that changes, the people around you that change. You know, Mark Hunt said that, Mike Tyson said that. I'm sure other people have said that, but generally I'd imagine so, that it's not you that changes, the people around you that change. And I think your achievements have never been like, oh, you're the world champion, you know, and then all of us are like, oh, he's a world champion. And I don't know, I can't imagine fawning over people like that. So I don't think that anyone in your circle has changed like that, and we're all driving forward. So the fact that you're the champion at the moment, that's just like an arbitrary thing, you know what I mean? Like you are, but we have other plans outside of fighting, inside of fighting, new guys coming up. That great, if you keep the belt, you're going to fight your hardest for as long as you can, and if you can keep the belt, that's awesome. and if you don't, we have other things waiting. But it's never been. I think that attitude within the team is what keeps everyone going. You know? It's not
very down to earth attitude.
Yeah, I don't know if it's very pragmatic.
Yeah,
I'd say,
and seeing that we're not something special. Like the belt doesn't mean anything. Really.
No, I don't think.
It's just a result of.
Have you seen a lot of change in Rob since you've known him?
No, none whatsoever. And that was I met Rob before he was the champion. Did the Gracie program. Started got to watch him become the champion. Now live down here and interact with him all the time, and that he's always been the same person. But again, I think he's mentioned it that you could change if everyone in your circle changed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? If you become the champion and they start getting them fresh towels for you and charging you money, like
you know who did change, became a bit of an attention whore was Alex Prades.
Wow. Yeah.
Every chance he gets on Instagram, everything. That's follow Alex Prades on Instagram, please. Do him the favor. Yeah. He's the only one, but everyone else has stayed more or less down to earth. Yeah, but I think I definitely think that's the biggest thing is like how everyone else around you changes. But you see dudes, and I'm not bagging people on this because I don't know the ins and outs of it. Maybe it's for the better, you know what I mean? But you see people, and there are times where you do need to get, and you have as well. Like there are times where you have to get rid of people as well. You know, it doesn't mean you stay the same. Like I'm not friends with the guy I was friends with in year 3. You know what I mean? Just to stay loyal. That's fucking stupid. I'll go find him. Stuart Talkington.
I don't know how you remember that.
He threw up on me in kindergarten, that guy. That's how I remember.
And that's how he's bonded?
Well, we were talking. Actually, I used to work in a nightclub and I saw him in the nightclub. He came up to me. He's like, da-da-da-da, we were talking. I said to him, man, you threw up on me. I remember he turned to me. He threw up this brown stuff, man. I don't know what he was eating, but I remember he turns over to me and I could barely speak English and he goes, Fabricio. And I must have said yes, either in Spanish or I must have see. And he goes, and threw up all over me. And we were friends for a long time, but you know, he's a graphic designer now. I think he was last time I spoke to him. But I'm not friends with him now. You know what I mean?
See?
I'm assuming that's what I would have said to him. So, yeah. Let's do the questions.
Also, when you said Fabrizio, you made him sound like he'd laid brick his entire life.
No, he was fucked.
Fabrizio.
No, he goes, I remember he leaned into me and goes, Fabrizio. And I looked over at him. And he just went, all over me.
God. See?
Oh
man.
Let's go. Let's kick off. Let's ask a question. You go.
I saw a question before I'd like to ask you. The guy said, it's probably up to someone, said, Fab, how did you get to be so funny?
I honestly don't think that I'm that funny. My wife doesn't think I'm funny. She thinks I'm a bit of a fucking bozo. And I don't think I'm that funny.
That joke you just said there is very contrary to the fact.
Which one, mate?
See?
I was telling a story. That's a real story. That's a real. I'm not trying to be funny. That actually happened. The kid's name's Stuart Talkington, and he threw up on me.
Sometimes you just have it. I guess.
Just telling you the truth, man.
Some people just have it.
I'm just telling the story how it happened. Hit us with something else.
Let's go. Here, Fab. I'll ask you this question, and I may answer it afterwards. How do you cut off toxic people from your life?
Oh,
it's a heavy
that's
one.
A good one.
That's why I wanted to ask you that one first.
I think I'm not the best at it because David Roberts is still around. I do think this. I think like we use an analogy in the. I don't try and cut anyone out of anything. We use an analogy in our team. It's the peloton. You know, if you can keep up with the peloton, you can stay, and if you can't keep up with the peloton, then you can't.
You may need to explain what a peloton is.
The peloton is the group of riders when they're doing like a Tour de France or something. And people that can't keep up with the peloton, they're off the race and they fall off the back and they're gone, mate. You know, they didn't have enough EPO. And so the people that can't keep up with the peloton, for whatever reason, some people, it's not that they're bad people. Some people, like, you know, you might have had 3 kids and you got a day job, and so you can't train anymore. So whatever, they don't necessarily have to be toxic. They don't have to be bad people. They might just not fit into the area, fit into what we're doing. So when you set certain standards and you say we've got to do A, B, C, and D, people have to hit those standards to stay on the peloton. And the people that are have the same goals and they have the same standards and want the same things are going to keep working in that way. And other people are just going to fall off the peloton, and that's no matter what you want to do. It doesn't make them good people or bad people. Even if you go out and you say, okay, we're going to train, on Sunday mornings, which we do, then already if you're a guy that likes to party on a Saturday night and that you're not going to be able to, you know what I mean? Like you're just going to fall off the peloton.
Excellent.
Rob?
Yeah, well, like you said, that's our team mentality that we have with the group. It's exactly that. The people that can't keep up fall off, and sometimes like when you reach that point where you see a guy can't keep up, but he's hanging on for dear life. Sometimes you just have to have that bad talk. You just have to have that ugly conversation that you never want to have. Sometimes you have to you look at your phone and you sit there for 15 minutes going, I don't want to do this.
Have you had to do that a lot?
Yeah, too many times. Because that's the thing. Like, it doesn't mean I hate you. It doesn't mean like you're a bad person necessarily. It just means that me and you aren't heading in the same direction. And and it's better to just say that out, like to say it how it is, so that you can do you and I'll do me. We're neither one of us are going to have any animosity towards each other, no bad feelings. Like let's just call it how it is. And when you reach that point where the guy can't keep up the peloton and you need to change, you got to look at you sit down and you look at your phone for about half an hour, and you just do it. You just press call, and then once it starts ringing, you can't stop now. And then I can't do that face to face. I'm not a face like. It's hard enough as it is for me personally.
So do you fear that? Going back to the other question from before.
Fear the face to face stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, it crushes me. Like, I guess I'm a coward, as some people would call it. Like, and I'm happy taking that title. I don't want to look you in your eyes when I'm saying, sorry, mate, but I'm going this way and you're going that way. And let's just leave it here. Like, because to me, there's nothing wrong with that. And then there shouldn't be anything wrong with it. Obviously, there's the invested emotions and feelings and everything involved. And I'm very emotional myself, but like it just has to happen. And I don't want to have this conversation face to face.
But you know what? I think that a lot of times in relationships, any relationship, people always have to have like a good guy and a villain. And it's like a lot of times like, dude, it didn't work out. Like they go, oh, I broke up with her now. She's crazy. And I'm like, dude, she was fucking crazy when you were going out with her. and you just to put this, you are not normal either. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
And now that your craziness has run its course, you're broken up. Now you're going to tell me like at random crazy shit that she did or crazy random shit that he did. And I'm like, yeah, I'm sure they did it, but you're both fucked. I'm fucked too. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like there's always like pushed for someone to be in the wrong. You know what I mean? And a lot of times it's not that. It's just like
and that's it. And you just go, like for me. So I just make the phone call. Once it starts ringing, you call, and then you just have that bad conversation, and it leaves a sour taste in your mouth for a while afterwards. And sometimes the other party doesn't take it too well. But you just have to do it. You have to do it. Like you have to cut the bad fruit from the tree.
Fuck. Write that one down.
Hobson.
What's next? Another question. Eli, do you want to ask a question? What's Rob's weight at the moment?
Around 94, 95. Yeah.
How much?
94, 95.
So what's that in pounds? Like
205, 207. Like,
207 right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
How much was Paulo Costa in his fight? That was crazy. He put on 12 kilos.
Before the actual day.
Yeah, he's banned
so
that.
24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He put on over 12
He
kilos.
would have been like
96.
It would have been like 215, something like that.
Yeah, I can't do pounds, but it was like 96, 97 kilos.
Yeah.
And that's like heavier than you are now. He's banned in California State Athletic Commission.
Because he put on a certain
they
amount.
can't put on more than 15%.
So is he going to light heavy, or is he just not fighting in California anymore? Like,
I don't know. No, but
That's
he can
not
still
fighting
fight in
California.
California if he doesn't put 15% of his weight back on. Which, honestly, it's incredible that he can do that.
I'm so confused. Like, why are there so many?
It's incredible that he can do that.
And
so
so,
it's just California he can't fight.
From my understanding, I don't know the ins and outs of
are
it.
there different rules state to state?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's the athletic commission that governs it.
What about if you're fighting in, say, China?
No, if you fight in another state that doesn't observe that 15% weight cut rule, then you're good. You're fine. You can put on 20 kilos if you like.
So if you fight in Rio, you're good.
Hmm.
That's a lot of weight cut.
Oh, well, wait, before we, like, this is playing on my mind. Why aren't there a set of universal rules across the board for the entire sport?
You would think so, but they have athletic commissions that govern each place, and where there's none, I think it's the Nevada State Athletic
It's
Commission.
the same here in Australia, isn't it?
Yeah,
They have combat sports here in New South Wales,
So
different
they-
in Queensland, different in...
No
for
one,
years, you couldn't fight Muay Thai with elbows here.
no one wanted to be like, why don't we just make it standard for everybody?
Because I
Make it
think
simple.
the way I understand that as well is because like there were states in the US you couldn't fight MMA, and say
here in
in
Australia,
Australia, same, and so here in Australia there were you couldn't fight with elbows here in Muay Thai for a long time. In Queensland you could.
Mm.
Yeah, I went to a boxing one time, and it was Queensland, New South Wales, because you're not allowed to fight until you're the age of 14.
I was going to say to you, boxing still hasn't allowed elbows. I don't know.
No,
what
no,
you're
but,
doing.
do you know what I mean? But they just won't agree.
Yeah.
They just can't come up with a agreement on age or what they're going to do, or everyone has their own input, and they just can't agree.
Yeah, because I think it goes back to like governing laws, really, at the end of the day. Not even, and each state has different again.
Oh, man.
So you're touching on deeper issues.
Yeah,
here,
this is
Rob.
confusing. And I assume everyone on the board gets a wage.
They all get paid, man. What's got to speak into the thing? Eli, can you make the screen bigger? It was 14.9% and he's banned from fighting at Middle in California. Okay.
Should try doing this on the thing. Oh.
Can you make it?
No, but you just got to scroll to the left now.
Guys, if you can, please
You
put in
can
written
zoom in,
complaints about
but then you just got to
Eli.
scroll left. Yeah, now scroll left.
Should champions with 3+ defenses be granted an immediate rematch? Do you think?
Ooh, that's a good immediate rematch. I feel like champions should be granted a rematch. Maybe straight away.
All champs?
Yeah. Maybe because like it's hard to get there.
Yeah.
No matter how you get there, it's hard. You know, everyone likes to whinge and complain, but not everybody can do it. It's pretty tricky to get there.
I have a question here that somebody put up here. Prime GSP versus Prime Rob. Who wins? I'll go with Eli first.
But wait.
Well, Prime Rob is 185. Prime GSP would be
170.
170. So that works.
So weight doesn't matter.
What do you think, Eli?
Why are you going to put me on the spot first?
There's
That's a tough one, man.
There's
Because
one,
I always...
there's one answer, brother.
No, I always go back to GSP being a champion, and I think he always did what needed to be done to win the fight. Do you know what I mean? So if he knew that Rob's weakness was wrestling, he was going to wrestle fuck him. If he knew he could, no, I'm not saying that is, but if he thought he would have an advantage in the striking, then he would be working on his boxing as he has with opponents and stuff like that. So I think he was like do you know what I mean? He's a champion. He did what needed to be done to be won. I think Rob has now followed that. Not followed that. You know what I mean? I don't think he's had a blueprint of it or anything and followed that type of. But I think there's a lot of the same type of characteristics. Didn't even say that, did I?
Traits.
Yep, there's a nice simple one for me. Thanks, Rob. A lot of the same traits. So it'd be a good fight. When was GSP in his prime, you think? What do you think was his, would you say his prime?
I think there was a stage when he fought like Fitch and that sort of stage there when he fought Koscheck and Fitch and all of that. Where
Nick.
Yeah, well, Nick came back from reconstruction.
Yeah,
for Nick.
Do you think it wasn't the same after the Rico?
He was huge, man.
Because he came back.
That muscle mass he had.
He came back and just like lay and prayed Nick easily.
Yeah, but you know, no. But he looked like he beat him and that. But Diaz, I think, the way that Diaz fights was a fight that GSP could do that in. If he had fought a different kind of fighter for that at that period, I don't know. I think because it wasn't easy for him either with Diaz. He just did exactly that, what you said, took him down and held him down. I think there was a stage where at that level, the guys that he was fighting, where you're looking at him going, fuck, no one's going to beat him. When he beat Thiago Alves and Koscheck and all of that, he looked like no one's going to beat him.
What I was trying to get to, but is I think back then a lot of fighters had more skill gaps than what they have now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So say, for example, he would wrestle, do you know what I mean, Nick Diaz to death instead of standing there and striking with him. Who was it?
No, he was a very smart
Well,
fighter.
I don't think he'd be able to do that with Rob. Do you know what I mean? I don't think Rob has them skill gaps. Do you know what I mean? That them guys had back then. So I think in 10 years the sport has, you know what I mean, progressed a lot. I think I'd have to say Robert Whittaker. Biracial angel.
It didn't sound super common.
No,
he started fading, going, I guess I'll have a Rob Whittaker.
I think honestly at 170, I think it's not your natural weight, and I'd have to say GSP.
I would never fight him at 170.
Yeah, so it'd. But in your prime at 185, I just feel like, well, it could have happened, but he wasn't in his prime. You know, if we're happy to accept that.
And he looked uncomfortable at 185.
Yeah.
You know? So like we're both in that he can't come up, I can't go down. So
I do think it'd be harder for him to apply. I'm not saying he couldn't do it, but I think it'd be harder for him to apply his game to you than your game to his. Like you fought a lot of grapplers that you had to keep standing, and I don't think his stand up is as good as yours. That's my honest opinion. I don't think that. I think he does a lot of good. I think he does a lot of things really, really well. It's GSP, but I just don't feel that he'd be able, just the way that things play out. I don't feel that he could apply his game to you. But having said that, I think he'd have a lot of trouble with Romero at 185. I think he'd have a lot of trouble.
It's hard picturing Romero and GSP in the same weight division, eh?
Yeah.
But you know what I mean?
Someone
Like,
just wrote up before just saying he's dodging, like GSP dodge you and Romero. I was like, how are they in the same?
Yeah, it seems like another.
That's what I mean. So that's when you picture that and you put that in perspective. Well, you see, like honestly, you see Israel and you see GSP, and Israel's huge. Like he's tall and he's a broad guy. You know what I mean? He's not little. So when you start to think like these are the guys you're fighting, and the guys he's fighting, for the most part, are smaller. You know what I mean? I don't know that he can do that game with you at 185. That's my honest opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, 185. I think I got it handled. Not handled, but he's a hard fight. But I think I don't think he can exploit any of his, like, use any of his strengths that he did in 170 to me at 185. I think I have too much power. I'd like to think I have the better striking, and I'm not that easy to take down, which leaves him, you know, at the end of my jab. But
and you can take him down too.
Yeah, but at 170, like, I'd just die in the weight cut. Like, it wouldn't be. I got him at 170 for sure. For sure, he was a weapon there. You know, make sure with the YouTube comments, got to scroll up to the blue ones.
Yeah, I've got a blue one here. It says, "What do you think about Darren Till moving up?"
Blue ones are important.
Yes. What do you think about Darren Till moving up?
I I think we touched on it last week in a sense that he always we believe he always was going to have to move up. He's a big guy, and he was a huge guy in 170. You know, and that's the thing though. Like in terms of moving up, like it was one of those things that we always thought he would have to move up, but then how he's going to adapt to the middleweight division is different to that, because he's no longer the biggest guy. He's no longer the tallest guy in the division. So we'll have to see how he comes to the division.
But what's it like, you going from 170 to 185 and then feeling full and strong? What was that like? Going from the fight with Mike Rhodes, who, by the way, I'm going to say has extremely underrated striking, going from Mike Rhodes to Clint Hester, and just because you didn't even have enough time to build the muscle. Like you're not as big you weren't as big as you are now.
Yeah.
But what was that like?
I got super fat.
But how'd you feel, like, strength wise? Carrying over without having to do that crazy weight cut.
I just felt much better. And you know what the biggest difference was? Like, yes, I felt much fuller and I felt better. Like, there was much more water in my brain. Like, I've taken big shots and it hasn't fazed me at all in fights. But the biggest noticeable difference was leading into a fight. Leading into fights before, I used to stress out, be super anxious about whether or not I'm going to make it or not. How am I going to do this? The weight cut itself is going to be hard. Like, it would literally keep me up at night. And every session was just about, I have to run. I have to burn this weight. I have to sweat. Every single session I was running because I just had to lose weight. You know, and that was like that was the reason why I moved up. It was either because it was destroying me. It was either move up or quit.
You know, the other thing people don't understand is, like, just try it for a week where you have to exercise real hard and not eat properly, and see the effects that has on, like, the rest of your family and all the people around you. And, like, so say now if your wife says, "Oh, let's go to lunch," you can't pig out, but you can eat normal.
Yeah.
But this time out, when you're going to 170, you wouldn't have been able
Nothing but salads and fish, mate.
Yeah, like that's what people don't get. Like, you can't even have, like, a normal day.
And people don't realize how hard it was day of cutting that huge water weight. Like, it was hard. That last cut, I did 7.4 kilos in the sauna. And that was hard. It was hard to do. Yeah.
What do you think of wrestlers sort of dominating divisions? Do you think it will become a trend in the future to raise your kids in wrestling first?
I'm just thinking about the divisions and seeing the top guys. They're not all wrestlers, though.
I think they said there's two that aren't wrestlers or something. I've seen.
Yeah, but Rob was one of them who's wrestled competitively and made the Commonwealth Games team. So, you know, that's something that honestly astounds me. Like, I think, like, why don't people fucking check what they're saying? You know what I mean? You're a fucking commentator. It's your one job to do.
Cruz said that. I was like, shout out, Dom.
I don't think it was Cruz that said that.
No, 100% was.
That said that you didn't have a wrestling background?
Me and Holloway. The two champions without wrestling.
Yeah, I think. Yeah,
I love that guy, but so
yeah, but
no scorn here.
It still doesn't mean that it's pretty inaccurate.
Yeah, because we wrestle a lot,
and you've competed in wrestling.
I've competed.
You didn't grow up wrestling.
Yeah,
you know, but like, I think I don't know if Holloway hasn't wrestled or not, but, like, you've competed in wrestling. You made the national team in wrestling, so, like, you've wrestled. So you can't even really say Rob's one of the people that doesn't wrestle. You know what I mean?
It could have been. It could have been just.
No, I'm not talking about that in particular. I'm just talking about, like, the fact that, like, this question in particular. It's like, do you think that's going to be a trend? And I think, like, well, even for yourself, you've wrestled.
Yeah, I've wrestled.
You know, and I think the biggest thing is the pool that it draws from as well. One is, like, the sport's great. But there's heaps of wrestlers that are shit fighters too.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and, like, there are a lot of the pools, like the talent pool for the UFC is American.
Yeah.
like with big wrestling programs.
Yeah, where everyone grows up wrestling. Just about.
I think that there would have been a time where wrestling wasn't the dominant, do you know what I mean, background of champions. and there wasn't that conversation. So I don't know.
No, but I don't think this is the other thing. Is my opinion is like proper grappling should be wrestling with submissions. You know what I mean? You can call it jiu-jitsu, you can call it catch wrestling, call it whatever you want. that kind of grappling, I think, is always going to dominate because it dictates if you're going to go up or down, and it can finish you on the ground. So
Yeah, it's combat oriented.
yeah, it's got too many facets of combat encompassed in it, and but then I think there's essential points like boxing and that punches are the highest percentage of knockouts are punches. Let's answer this before we lose it.
AC/DC fan, for those about to rock. Yeah, I love Akadaka. My old man got me in on. You like AC/DC, Fab?
I don't mind them.
Eli?
Yes,
Of course he does. Of course he does.
Megaphone guy here. Cheers for the ticket, boys. Shout out to Nathan Kelly and always respect the Reaper. What a great guy.
What a great guy. Thank you, Steve. Respect the Reaper.
the Reaper.
What's the
Rob's
date today?
loving that, isn't he?
What's the date today?
The 3rd? No. Yeah, the 3rd.
Well, today will from now on be National Steve Booth Day.
National Steve Booth Day.
Congratulations, mate. Fab, can you tell us about your... No, I can't. That's all my performance-enhancing drugs. I can't tell you about the stacks, the private stacks that I do.
He's asking about your stacks. Hey, I need to go bathroom.
Can you find another question?
Yeah, there was a question there before. They were asking how was the sparring with Jimmy. So I don't know if you want to talk about that, Fab?
All right. I'm just writing one down so I don't lose it.
Oh yeah, what is
Yeah. How was the sparring between Rob and Jimmy Crew?
Yeah, there was it came up a couple of times.
I think Jimmy has really good camp behind him. He's got really good people behind him. In particular, the guy that I most dealt with is Sam Greco, who's a legend in martial arts, in Australian martial arts, international martial arts. Jimmy's a very, very strong guy. He's up and coming, of course, you know, and he's still working on a lot of different things. I think that it was a real clash of styles as well, because Jimmy likes to come forward and strike hard, and Rob's a little bit more elusive, a little bit more with a little bit more ability to move. It was interesting. It was a big clash of styles. I'm not going to get into who won or who lost the sparring because I think that's not polite. But I will say that Jimmy's got really, really good background, really, really good coaching, and it's evident in the way that he was throwing certain kicks and really hard leg kicks, really big power behind his shots.
Yeah. Yeah, Jimmy hits hard. He's got big hands, as we saw in that episode with him.
Yeah, his hands are ridiculous, man.
He's got monstrous hands.
Yeah.
And
He should be an arm wrestler. That's one of the first things I asked him was like,
Are
"You
you
arm
on-
wrestle?"
Are you good at arm wrestling? Yeah. Why is the hand size so important for arm wrestling?
I think it's just like you can just move the person's hand. And usually if you have massive hands, you're not going to have wrists like mine. You're going to have big fucking wrists and big forearms.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's like the whole thing that goes together.
Your wrists aren't that bad, mate.
Mate, my wife's wrists are thicker than mine.
Yeah, no. I really got a sense of how, like, Jimmy would be a hard fight for you in the light
For
heavyweight
me?
division. Light heavyweight division. He'd be hard. He's hard to put away. He walks forward. He's relentless and he hits hard. He just doesn't I think he can be and he's got ground game and he's got wrestling. So yeah, I can see how he would be a big problem for a lot of those light heavy guys.
100%.
Honestly.
Quick question says, Fab is tied to Ivasa training with you guys. No, he's not. We have a little bit of contact with him, but no, he trains with his own team.
We don't really have the guys with the size for him to work with.
No.
Rob, we got one on Twitch. One of the guys is asking, how do you fit in time for your gaming and being a UFC champion?
Yeah, so for me, playing video games is very important. You know, there's a stigma around gaming where it's like lazy people and people that don't like it, waste of time and that sort of stuff. But it is essential for me to play video games because that's how I truly unwind and escape. I play my games. I go into the game. I feel like I'm a part of it. And I start running around and I'm not thinking about fighting. I'm not thinking about the stresses of life. I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm just there in the game, and and it makes me happy. Like I thoroughly enjoy it. It's not like I'm going in there and just brain dead doing nothing. I'm going in there and I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the time. Plus, like if I play with my friends, like Pete and Dennis and things like that, like we all get together, and I'm also social there, so I'm talking to them, and I'm just, it's just fresh. It's fresh air. Like it's just something different. It's truly how I unwind. My wife and everybody, like she knows how important it is to me. Like I don't, straight after training, I don't go home, jump on the computer and forget about my family. Like I go home, I play with the kids, I see my wife, I talk to my wife, I make sure I'm a part of their lives. But when the kids go down and my wife wants to go train, I jump on the computer and I sit there and I relax, I unwind. Sometimes I'm Twitch streaming and talking to the guys, and it's very important just to keep me sane.
So it's just like anyone's hobby. Some people surf,
it's a
some
hobby.
people read
it's
books.
Exactly that.
Some people like to watch Netflix. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
It depends on,
That's exactly it. That's just what I do to unwind. It's how, and I think because I've done it for so long since my earliest days, like I've gamed maybe as an escape, but also because I enjoyed it. It's how, like, it's built in me that when I play games, I relax. Like I don't know. Like
Do you think from growing up, it was a form of escapism as well?
100 billion%. That and watching anime. They were the two biggest things that... anime was more of an escape than games, because like I can stop watching anime, whereas with games, I need to be playing something at... Like if I go away, I need to have my console there with the game that I'm playing. I have to. It's just... And if I don't, I get... Like I just feel sad. I don't feel as good. I don't perform as well.
I think I got a phone. I was talking to you one time, Fab, when you were in Las Vegas, and I think you were in the room with Rob. I don't know. It would have had something to do with the Gracie program, but he gave me a call, and I could hear Rob in the background saying, "Should I buy a helicopter? Should I buy a helicopter?" I thought he wanted to buy a helicopter.
Not with what they pay him, mate.
But that was obviously a video game.
Yeah.
One of the questions that was asked, one of the blue questions that was asked.
Thank you for your support, guys. Blue questionnaires and
yes,
gold.
Absolutely. So what's the gold ones?
I think the more cost more. Like Stephen threw up a gold comment saying,
What
"Thanks
about
for the
red
ticket."
ones?
Is there a red? What do you mean? Like that red?
Yeah.
That's just a highlight. That's,
Okay.
That's nothing.
So blue and yellow is our priority.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. What is Israel's greatest strengths? What do you see as Israel's greatest strengths?
His kickboxing. His timing, his fight experience, his fight IQ due to that experience. He's a crafty guy. He's got great striking. He's got great timing. He's got a great body for the type of striking he employs.
Yeah, but that's very important because a lot of people might try and fight like Israel, but they, even if they're tall, they might not have his timing. They might not 100%. Have all the rest of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Izzy's just good at as a package, as how he is, of how he like. Yeah, he's Israel Adesanya's style is him, and he's good at it. Everything you see him do, he's good at. Very hard to replicate anywhere else.
Do you think there's anything in particular with his striking that stands out, or anything else with his game in MMA that stands out as a great strength?
He's a tall fighter, and he fights well at it. Like he's a very good tall fighter. You know, you have tall fighters that you see employ their games, but they're just not as good as he is. Like Rockhold, he's a tall fighter, or he was in the middleweight division. I think it's a little harder to be a tall fighter in.
You have to be very tall.
You have to be very, very tall. You know, but he was a tall fighter in the middleweight division, and he fought well as a tall fighter. You know, but I still think he's leagues behind someone like Adesanya stylistically. I think Adesanya is much more technical. His timing is much crisper. He's got more tools in his kit to employ. Adesanya is a great tall fighter.
What do you think, Eli? What's Adesanya's greatest strengths?
Kickboxing, wouldn't it be?
Yeah. Eli is an incredibly insightful man.
Do you know what I mean? That's if anyone who knows his background and that'd be a pretty simple question to answer.
No, but there's good kickboxers that it is their greatest strength, but they don't do well in the UFC.
True, but I think that's his greatest strength. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and he knows how to bring it into. You see his fights. He knows how to bring the fight and make the fight become a kickboxing match.
Yeah, but
That's what I think
experience.
is his great.
That's experience.
Just like Weidman's good at bringing you into that wrestle grappling game. Like he makes the fight become that. There are just certain guys that can do that. Like
Romero does that as well.
Romero does it as well, where it's
into his pace.
Yeah, it's pacing, it's the rhythm, it's the beats of the fight, and yeah, Adesanya is very good at that, very crafty at doing that.
Because I think that's his greatest strength, to be honest, is his ability to draw you into that game. His ability, and then like I honestly think his grappling and that is very underrated. In that people don't understand that. They don't understand that you can't just take him down, and you can't and if you engage with him on his terms, he might have close fights, he might have not good fights, but he's going to get the better of it unless you can match that. You know what I mean? And that's I think his greatest strength. What's your favorite anime?
Anime, my favorite one.
Yeah, we had that on Twitch as well. So
There's so many. It's hard. I can't answer that off the cuff.
what's your favorite one, Bub?
I don't even. I've never even seen it.
What's your favorite cartoon?
Oh, Ninja Turtles.
Which was your favorite?
Ninja Turtles?
What
1990 fucking 2 part. 1991.
What was your favorite turtle?
Raphael.
Oh.
The red one. Angry.
Huh?
The angry one.
Yeah.
He was my favorite.
He was angry
was
and
yours,
aggressive.
bro?
He wasn't. In fairness, he wasn't angry in the cartoons.
He's very angry.
No.
He was always against it. He wasn't out of the pack.
He was angry in the movie, in the first Ninja Turtles movie. But I'm talking about 1990. Or I'm not going to sing the jingle, but in the jingle, he doesn't say that he's angry. Michelangelo is the party dude, but he wasn't the party dude. But he wasn't angry in the cartoons. In 1990, look it up.
I don't know. He is notorious as being the angry one
In the movies.
He was like the one-man wolf pack. He didn't want to be part of the team.
hated rules, hated order.
Yeah, 100%. All right, that was my favorite by far. Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
Who was your favorite, Rob?
Mine?
Yeah.
Donatello. Like the first half of my childhood, and then probably
Leonardo.
Raphael.
Oh, so he was Raphael too.
Once he was angry. Because he was angry.
He was angry in the movie.
Like I went with Donatello the first half because he had a stick, and I liked his bow staff, and then I started relating more to the angry red one.
Oh, I like Raphael. What about you, Eloy?
Nah, I'm
The rat.
Leonardo.
The rat.
Oh, the leader,
Leonardo, yeah.
everybody's favorite.
Yeah, I'm lame.
I don't. It's. I've watched too much anime to really put down. Like, I really enjoyed Seven Deadly Sins. I watched that recently. So,
ask Rob if he's played Dark Souls.
Yeah, I have. It's a fun game. Tricky, but fun. Very fun.
So, what about surgery? Is that covered at Uncle Panda? Because that clicking is not a positive thing at your age, homie. Fuck.
What?
Is that you?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a gang war.
Are they talking to each other?
Oh yeah, you get some strange ones on.
Hey, Eli, is there more down? Can you go down?
No, that is.
Press the little blue arrow. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Oh, there's a blue one.
How do you handle anxiety before and during a fight?
I don't feel anxiety during a fight. When the fight starts, there's no time for emotions. You don't feel anything. You just feel the fight. You're in the fight. Everything's firing at 150%. I actually don't remember a lot of my fights, any of them, just because of
Charles Sonnen says that until you have to watch him back.
Yeah, like I don't remember a lot of my fights at all. Most of them I don't remember, just because of the adrenaline. I just don't get it.
How quick does it go in there?
Very quick. It's honestly, it's over before you know it. You know, when you're in the back room or you're waking up fight day, and you're getting ready, and like it feels like the day's gone forever. It feels like it's just slow, and the pressure and the anxiety. I don't suffer much anxiety. I'm nervous. I get nervous. I don't get
because I wouldn't say you have depression or anxiety day of the fight.
No, I don't. I don't have anxiety day of the fight. Like I am just nervous and ready. Like mainly nervous, mainly nerves, and the day feels like it goes forever because you're nervous. Like you're going through, just like when you hurt yourself, you feel like it hurts forever, or whatever moment, you know what I mean, is going at the time. But the day just drags out, and everything seems long. And then when you're in the back room and you're watching the other fights on the little screen, it just just nervous, and then you get in there, and then before you realize you're out of there, like you're getting checked by the doctors, you're talking to the UFC medical team, like it's done. It's done. It's over. It happens so quickly.
How much do you enjoy the fight?
Like it's more after the fight that I enjoy it because, like I said,
But being in it and when you're fighting,
I love that part. Like that part is like instinctively I enjoy it. It's hard because
like you don't like it, but you love it. Would that be?
Yeah, but there's like I like doing it. But like when I want to say that there's no room for emotions, there's none. There's no room at all for anything.
Yeah, you don't love it or hate it.
I don't love it, hate it. I'm not excited. I don't feel anything in that fight except like my brain is firing at 700% to try and work out, like try and do the next moves, the next actions, and everything. Like it's just everything is just going. It's so fast. And then after the fight, I sit down usually and I'm like, man, that was fun. Like, and I enjoy it. Like I love that feeling after a fight where I'm sore and everything hurts, and I just and people are saying, man, that was a cracker fight, and I feel like I've done my job. Like I've gone in there and I laid it all on the line, and I feel like I had, like that is when I feel like I am me, you know, in a way. That was a long, drawn-out answer.
Can you make the thing?
Yeah, I'm going to go up. There was a question before on Twitch, and then it was coming up on here. Who was your all-time favourite Rabbitohs player?
All-time favourite. It's hard. I was never the sort of fan that just watched every game every week. I never have been. So I don't deserve to answer that question.
Who's your to your top of your head? Who's your favorite Souths player, like that you know of or anything?
No, I can't answer that.
No.
Like I remember when I was a kid, my father used to tell me about tell me the top of the top guys. Like remember when the Souths were reigning, like in the most premierships ever, and they had this killer team. And I remember him telling me the names of these people, and me going around the schoolyard going, "Oh, I love this guy," or "What about this guy?" But yeah, that's about as far as it went.
What console are you on? What upcoming game are you looking forward to? Don't forget the green questions. Laugh out loud.
Is there a green color as well?
There must be.
Maybe there are multiple colors, but the highlighted ones we need to answer.
We try and answer them all, but there's just too many.
Yeah.
So what console are you on?
I play PC, of course. Yeah, I'm a PC guy. There's just so much more options and things to do there. Games I'm looking forward to. It's hard. There's mad updates coming out for Fallout 76, which I'm going to get you on. We're going to do that episode eventually where we make characters and go out into the wasteland and shoot stuff.
I'm really looking forward to it.
But guys on my Twitch have been saying and been like, "Are you ever going to get Fab onto this? Are you ever going to get Fab onto this?"
I don't have the attention span for video games, but I'll give it a go.
We will.
My therapist will suggest it.
We'll go on a journey, you and me.
All right, we'll do it.
Wasteland.
We'll do it.
Me and you. But yeah, there's some cool updates with that coming out, bringing in NPCs. So that should be a massive change. In terms of like the current game trends, I haven't really been keeping up. I'm like a guy that when I like something, I just stick with it. Like, and that's how I am with all my games too. I just jump around the same 5 games, like over and over and over, just switch and switch and switch.
What do you think about a 195-pound division? And do you think there's enough smaller light heavies and enough bigger middleweights to keep a 195 division going?
195, what would that be?
I'm going to say around 89 kilos.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely think the UFC needs more weight divisions. I think there are a lot of people that are caught between that like too small for welterweight, too big for welterweight, too small for middleweight division, because the gaps are huge. They're big. So yeah, I definitely think more divisions are necessary. Do I think it's ever going to happen? Not really. Like they're reluctant. You know what I mean? To do that.
It says here, what's the key to Conor making a comeback? I don't really know enough about his career, where he's at, or what he's doing.
Key. I don't know. Winning. Like if he comes and wins the next fight, there's a comeback.
What's he in it for? But his next fight, is he again in it for money? Is it legacy? Does he want to be champion? Do you mean? Because if he's just in it for the money, they're just going to make it. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know.
It's probably for the relevance.
I don't know.
If I had to guess,
I don't know. That one, I don't know. I can't help you with. Like, I haven't, because he hasn't been fighting. I don't know.
The show moves on.
Yeah,
I think that's
I mean.
the biggest thing about it.
Like,
a lot of people are still Conor, but the show moves on. There's other superstars in the UFC now that are taking up attention, and then something will come back out with Conor and try to get a little bit of attention, or he might say he wants to fight again and that. But the show's moving on. There's new champions. There's new controversy. There's other people who are making noise in the UFC. So I think if he wanted to come back, he's got to come back and want to leave a good legacy, not just make a money fight.
Yeah, well, he doesn't need money anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't need money, but I don't know.
Can you make a bigger, Eli, so we can see?
Yeah, I just had to go back up to them.
And can you go down? Guys, if you get a chance, please complain about Eli as much as possible.
I like how some of the chat people,
they like Eli though.
They're asking Eli, like, Eli, can you check this out? Or Eli, can you scroll up a couple of bit? Like Eli, they're talking to him.
No, Eli.
I got groupies.
Is this the last?
Yeah, these are all the new ones.
Did you see the thing about what was I going to say to you?
Wait, shout out to Teddy.
Who's Teddy?
He's a mate of mine I play games with.
Where is it?
See where it says Teddy Toka Takaturu.
Nice.
That's how I address him in the chat as well. He knows.
Hashim says, "Damn it, Eli, you have one job."
You have one job.
I don't have one job. I'm controlling like 5 different things here.
Rob, who do you think can beat Khabib? Which will help us to segue just basically into what we're going to discuss.
Let's use that question to segue into the fights on the weekend.
So let's go with Poirier versus Khabib and what you think.
Mate, with the way Khabib's been, the way he's been in his career, the fights he's had, like I just see him barring like getting clipped with something and just getting flash knocked out. Because I think if you clipped him and he went down but was still conscious enough to grab a single, he won't go away. He won't go away. He won't go away. I don't see him losing, being beaten by anybody. Honestly, I can't see him being beaten because he is surprisingly good at not getting hit when he's not in the wrestling distance. Like, he's very good at that. You saw with fights with like Barboza and he's good at like staying away, and with McGregor even. Like, he's good at staying away.
And rushing in too.
And then he just rushes in. And because of the threat, the takedown is so real. Like, it's so dangerous, that threat. He can get in almost unmolested. You know, he just gets in and then throws bombs or goes for a shot. And if he grabs anything, grabs your little toe, he'll use that as an anchor to start climbing up. Like, I don't see him losing. Or I don't see anyone having the skill sets to beat him, barring just getting knocked out flush. You know, which, like, Dustin Poirier can definitely do that. Ever since he moved up, his power is like remarkable.
But what do you think are the keys for Dustin to dethrone Khabib? What does he have to do?
He has to keep his distance. He has to keep Khabib guessing. He has to keep Khabib. He can't let Khabib get his timing. He can't let Khabib get in close and make it and muddy up the fight. He needs to keep him at his range and just not over attack. He needs to just try to land in that one good clean shot and get out. Land that one good clean shot and get out. Like when I had to fight against Romero and Jacare, there were no combos that were more than 2 shots, 3 shots max. Because you bank on a 3-shot or a 4-shot move, you're in pretty deep at that point. You know.
Do you think that Dustin's game can allow for him to step in, do 1 shot and get out?
That's the thing. It's hard. It's very hard because that isn't his game. His game is that he gets inside in your face with great cardio and puts that pressure on you the whole time.
Because one of the things that I see with Dustin is he's got power and he starts hard and aggressive. You know what I mean? And then he could clip Khabib for sure. But I see him like the way that he punches kind of like hooks. You know, and you have to be relatively close for that. You know, he's going to throw the uppercuts for sure. But all of those punches, you've got to be close to throw them. And I see Khabib is going to try and initiate the grappling. And then the other thing that I see that can work for him is his ability to kick. And he kicks low and he uses those calf kicks and he uses inside and outside calf kicks. And he's actually quite good at changing his stance from southpaw to orthodox and back. So I think that he might catch Khabib early, and I think that's where I see it. Otherwise, I think it'll be Khabib doing his being Khabib.
Like, yeah, it's very hard. Even if Dustin starts to try to time the uppercut, like let's say he has he works in a combo like jab uppercut. Just like when we were working with Romero, we spammed the front kick because like even if it does nothing, he can't just shoot into it.
Yeah,
barring getting like caught flush, I don't think it would stop him. I think Khabib would just take it. Like if he doesn't land that flush and Khabib gets his hands on him, he'll turn it into a wrestle. And he has that cardio and he has that strength and that endurance to just wrestle for days, for the whole time if he has to.
What do you think, Eli?
Nah, he's a different beast, Khabib. I think he'll just do what he does, close that distance, pressure him against the cage, and just too much pressure for him.
And he's a big guy too, because like Dustin's big, but so's Khabib.
Yeah, because I actually watched that fight with McGregor again this morning, and I saw like Khabib got a hold of like a single, like that low single, and held onto it until he got the takedown.
And that's barefoot too.
That's barefoot. He just held onto it, and like he took some elbows, he took some hammer fists, but he just held onto it with his arms and just ran it around, dragged it, turned him around again, just ran it. Like I think the whole thing took like 2.5 minutes, like just working a hard single, and then eventually got the takedown and then started climbing his way up further and had that endurance to do that like the whole time.
What do you think? Can Poirier do anything off his back against Khabib? Do you think? Eli as well.
Like yes, but also no. I think Poirier has the skills to fight off his back and to get back up. Like his jiu-jitsu is quite high level, but Khabib doesn't play jiu-jitsu with you. He doesn't turn it into a jiu-jitsu match. He locks up your arms. He gets into a safe position and beats you up. He ties up your legs so you can't get up and beats you up. And even if you somehow do manage to work your way up slowly, he beats you up the whole way up and then brings you back down. Like he is honestly a beast, a scary beast.
How big is he, Rob, in real life when you've met him? I've seen him, but he was getting ready to fight when I seen him just at the back. So he didn't look massive when I saw him. But when you saw him, he wasn't cutting weight yet.
Was that when I was in Vegas last time?
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a big guy. Like he's a big guy. Like he's very broad, very very broad. He's got like long arms and stuff, but he's not. He doesn't look overly muscular or overly huge for the division because he's like he doesn't look like too big. You know what I mean? It's just he just looks solid, dense.
Yeah, because when I saw him, he didn't look massive or nothing. Like I think it was when he was going to fight Ala Quinta when we were in Brooklyn. I saw him, and he was like right near us, and he didn't look massive.
No,
but he looks like just like thick.
He's got like that marathon body, sort of. where it's like it's not like overly dense, but it's lean, like endurance type muscle.
Yeah, but he's got like thick joints.
Yeah.
It looks like a strong dude.
Yeah.
All right. Well, who you got in Barboza and
Felder.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. You know, I'm going to lean towards Felder. I'm going to lean towards Felder this fight. I think their last fight was very close, and I think that was before Barboza has had the amount of wars he's had since then. You know, I think
So you're leaning towards
Felder. Yeah.
okay.
You know, especially looking at Barboza's fights, the last 5 fights he's taken a lot of punishment. He's copped a lot of shots, and you know, I honestly, when like that fight against Gaethje that he had, that's what I saw most prevalent in that. Now, obviously, the calf kicks played a massive role in that, and he did get clipped. But before that, like you just saw his chin just. I don't think his chin's quite there anymore. Like as much as it was, say when he fought Felder the first time, because when he fought Felder the first time, he took some massive shots, and he fought on. He fought on.
I think, my opinion, the key to beating, and this is easier said than done, the key to beating Barboza is forward pressure. That's what Gaethje could do it, Khabib could do it, Kevin Lee could do it. And you have to get inside that kicking range, because when I say his boxing's not that good, I don't mean his boxing's not good. I just mean his kicks are so good that they're not as good as his boxing. Before people go, how can you say that?
Yeah.
I think his boxing is very good, but I think it's overshadowed by his kicks. And if you have to pick your poison, you're going to rather box with him and pressure him, because the other thing that does is makes it hard, other than his backswing kick, it makes it hard for him to set up his kicks if he's moving backwards.
Yeah, if you play his game where he can kick you and then line you up with massive shots, especially if he can kick you, because he uses his kicks as a way to set up his hands.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to set up the pace of his hands, because once he's kicked you a few times and you're wary of it and you're not moving forward as much or you're not moving back as much, then he knows how to time his strikes in. And you see, he loads up with his strikes big time. Like every shot he throws is massive. Like that's the sort of fighter he is. He's just power puncher. Like he likes loading up on those hooks. He likes loading up on those kicks. But he uses his kicks very, very effectively to set up everything else. And that kind of is what dictates the rest of the fight.
I think if Felder can get him moving backwards and get in his face and make it like a boxing match, he could. But by the end of that third round, in their last fight, Felder had taken too many shots. That switch kick comes out of nowhere, so fast, so strong,
so fast,
right into the liver. Felder is a monster for taking it.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, he like say if there was a fourth round, I didn't think he was going to be able to come back and win that. I tend to think that Felder can do this as well if he doesn't play the kickboxing and can keep him moving backwards. I don't know if Felder has the grappling. Not that he's not a good grappler, but I don't know if he has the grappling to be able to then pressure Barboza. Because if he stands in kicking range, I think it's going to be not good for him.
Yeah, definitely. And you saw that in their first fight. When Felder was being highly aggressive in that first round, that was his most successful round.
Yeah.
He was highly aggressive, in your face, throwing bombs, and he landed a lot of shots.
Those kicks to your legs and to your body.
Yeah.
And he kicks so hard.
So hard.
Who you got, Eli?
I like Barboza. I just like watching him fight. Like you said, he explodes into everything. He's exciting to watch. So I hope you get just for my own personal views, if you're me, I want to see a flashy knockout.
Yeah.
That's what I think could happen. But is there another fighter like him where that sort of one trick pony that is talked about so much, that spinning back kick?
Uriah Hall was much like that. Like Uriah
Hall was like a 185 Edson Barboza, and that I mean with the greatest of respect.
Yeah, it's not a doubt, like a bad thing. Do you mean if you're fighting him, everyone talks about that. Like they'll talk about it in the prelims, they'll talk about it in the pre-fight to say that's what you need to look out for.
Hendricks was like that a bit as well. Hendricks was like that a little bit as well when he was like real good.
Big left hand.
Big left hand.
Oh yeah, sorry, yeah.
What do you think about the 1FC and their hydration rules? Would you like to see UFC adopt this?
How do their hydration rules go?
It basically it's without, I don't know the exact science behind it necessarily, but it goes basically, they monitor your weight. And so most of the guys that are fighting, like you'd fight at light heavy, like you'd fight at 93.
And a lot of the like, heavy guys in the UFC would fight it
at a heavyweight and so on and so forth. The middleweights, the welterweights would fight a middleweight because you have to fight it closer to your walking around weight. What do you think?
I think that's good. I think it's good. I would like to, because everyone has to do it then. I would. I wouldn't mind. But I think once you reach that heavyweight division though, there might be a bit of a problem because there are a lot of guys that would be too heavy for light heavy. But
I think you have to have something between 205 and 265.
That's what I mean. Like you can't have people like OSP fighting Cain Velasquez or Stipe. Like, the difference is huge in size. On the Nagano, like those guys are big guys. We'd have to probably have some more divisions.
Would it not be a nightmare for a promoter? Because as soon as they go under that hydration, then they're out. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how it works in that. But I do think that. Look, honestly, I don't like the way that I don't like the way that there's a lot of I think the weight cutting good. Like Rob's a bigger middleweight. It doesn't really affect us in the sense of he's a small middleweight. That's not the case. But I think stuff that takes away from fighting, like if dudes are rehydrating, coming in, 12, 13, 14 kilos heavier than the weight division, it's not really that weight division. And I don't know, that kind of opens the doors to a bunch of other stuff, I think, that doesn't sit well with me, I honestly, I'm not picking anyone in particular, but I think if you can put your shoes on in the dark, you're halfway to being able to beat USADA. You know what I mean? USADA can prove me wrong, but there's a few people they should catch before they can say, oh no, we're not. It's not true. Like I just see there's situations where you just look at it and you're just like, dude, that guy's fucking gearing off his nut, and it's just stupid. It's just dumb. So I think anything where like those massive weight cuts are happening or anything like that, I'll just look at that and just think, like I know what a good athlete can do and what a good athlete can't. You know what I mean?
Apart from the Costa one that's obviously just came up, but do you think 10 years ago there was a lot more, like it seemed like bigger people were in smaller weight divisions? Do you think that's now that USADA's come in all
honesty, I don't know. I don't know if Costa's Costa. I don't know him in particular. I'm just saying in general, there's situations where you're looking at people and that like, and it's not, I'm not singling Costa out because but there's people you look at and you're just like, yeah, all right, buddy.
No, but I feel like 10 years ago there was a lot more of that conversation where people were, do you know what I mean, coming into the fight the next day 14 kilos heavier or 12 kilos heavier, and that way now it doesn't seem to be as often.
Dude, I've never seen someone come in 13, 14 kilos heavier on weight.
Was it Rumble? Rumble used to come in.
No, he missed weight.
Oh, okay.
He missed weight.
And then came in 20 kilos.
No. I'm saying I've never really seen anyone with my own eyes come in like 12, 13, 14, 15 kilos heavier after cutting weight. I've never seen that. Like, I've seen, like, I don't know, Romero and Rob. I think Rob would have probably come in at 92, 93, and Romero a bit one or two more over. And if you look at Romero 2, Rob versus Romero 2, Romero looked fucking massive. He looked about as big as you could see a middleweight. But then you see guys, right? And not because when I say the weights, I'm talking middleweights. But you see guys in the lighter weight divisions that were coming in. So it doesn't sound like I'm singling people out of middleweight, because I don't mean to. That's not what I'm trying to do. Because I've seen guys come in from, say, featherweight and be as big as a welterweight. Like, I've seen that, like, in the last couple of fights, there were guys that were heavier than the next division up.
Yeah.
So, in the cage, they were heavier than... So, when that sort of stuff starts happening, I just look at that and think, like, one, I don't know if it's an unfair advantage or not, but it's certainly not fucking healthy. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard for you to get heavier than the next division up when the divisions are so fucking widespread.
Yeah,
And
especially without like IV and everything.
Yeah, and we're talking about adding a new weight division in at 195, and dudes are skipping a weight division. Like, how does it? That doesn't even make sense to me. It's stupid. It's just makes no sense.
How long's USADA been in?
Well, now,
A while now, yeah.
yeah, like maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
Quite a while.
6 years?
Yeah.
No, probably not that long.
But say 5 years.
5 years.
4 years, 5 years. I think that what the thing with USADA is it's kept the clean people clean, and it's caught the people that were like obviously cheating, but it's like on each end of the spectrum, it's caught those people, like the people that were basically running into the octagon with a syringe hanging out of their ass, and the people that don't use it, they're the two people. But the ones that think that, I think it's still pretty rampant.
How many fighters?
Would you say? Hold on. Would you say that it's being cleaned up, or would you say that it's still there's
No.
still a lot of guys?
There's tons of guys. Like it's not regulated enough. There's too many loopholes.
What do you mean by that?
There's just too many ways to get around USADA testing, and the consequences aren't severe enough to stop those guys.
And there's too many grey areas, eh? Like,
Yeah, like it's silly.
and everybody knows them. We don't have to sit here and go through them.
It's just silly. You like, yeah, it's silly. It's silly. We could go on. We could talk about it forever. Like there's too many loopholes. The consequences aren't severe enough, and it's just not. Yeah, it's not fair.
So just real quick, how many fighters who have been pinged have came out and immediately said that they were using it and it wasn't a tainted supplement, or it wasn't because they drank or got a dick pill from someone or anything like that? Do you know of fighters who have came out and told their story as of yet?
Nah, not. I think TJ Dillashaw might have.
Yeah, I think he
I don't know, because I don't like. This is another thing. I don't hang around physically or even at a distance in the fight world, so to speak. There's just things that I know that can't happen. Do you know what I mean? Like, they just can't. You know what I mean? Like they can't. I don't know. And when I'm saying dudes weighing more, I'm not saying you weigh in at say 145 and then on fight night you weighing 155 or 160 and that's fucking weird. I'm saying there's dudes weighing 145 and weigh more than the 155s, because the 155s weigh 170, 175. You know what I mean? I'm saying there's dudes weighing more than the next guy's up, which is, you look at that and you're like, whatever, man. But one more question before we finish up was, Rob, how did you develop your fighting style? That's a blue question.
Yeah, it's just my fight style was just a natural progression of me going through my martial arts, like from karate, Hapkido to MMA to doing boxing and kickboxing, and then incorporating wrestling into that and jiu-jitsu. It's just, yeah, it started from my foundations, which were karate, and then just like I just picked up little bits and molded it to myself and made the different styles become part of who I am into what I am today. It's just a natural thing.
Guys, just want to thank everyone. The Ballina Bruiser, thank you very much. The Brawler from the back streets of Ballina, Mr. Eli Hedges, Robert Whittaker, Dr. Green Thumb, and myself. Thank you, guys.
Cheers, thank you.
Peace, guys.